Welcome to Jurassic Park for a Minute. We'll be discussing the second Jurassic Park sequel, 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And today we're here to discuss minute 76 of Jurassic Park 3. David, nearly Halloween. You're starting to get into the swing of things over there.
Yeah, we are. This past Saturday, I recently did downtown Chicago had a Halloween parade going on. So I dressed up in some clown face paint and went on down.
Is it a bad time to come forward with my absolute fear and hatred of clowns? it's like most, it's Pennywise that done it. And that's the Tim Curry one too.
I'll admit Tim Curry's Pennywise did not do anything for me in favor of clowns. But that's what makes them good to dress up then. I mean, you know, if you're afraid, then you know somebody else is going to be afraid.
Yeah, yep. And it's a good thing, like having a parade like that. It's one of those things. Halloween night, you might have a couple of different costumes you'd like to wear in the closet or in the wardrobe, and you've only got one chance. Where here you can sort of do a couple of different events and try some different things on. Because I'm guessing you'd be donning on the Michael Myers get up for a walk around on Halloween night.
I'm actually working Halloween night, so I unfortunately won't be able to hand out candy this year.
Well, there you go. You've had the chance to go walk, go in the parade.
Otherwise, I was probably planning on either one of my pumpkin masks or possibly Rob Zombie, Michael Myers, which I shared the pictures of with shared with the picture I did with John Hammond.
Yep.
That was me in the Michael Myers mask.
Oh, fantastic.
I took them on an impulse. I thought they'd be worth a fortune, enough to fund the dig site another 10 more years. Look, you have to believe me. This was a stupid decision, but I did it with the best intentions.
A little bit behind the scenes thing. Last week I had power. I lost power, so I had no internet. Just had enough to get the last edition of Jurassic Mysteries out. So we done that last week. And we were going to record these 2 minutes as well, but didn't get a chance to because of that issue. And I've just got a little thing here. Well, we're going to bring up the fact that timack construction on the last regular minute, when we're talking about the InGen salvage barge and that, I'd sort of mentioned that we've seen some other possibly sightings of InGen construction after Jurassic Park 3 with the Jurassic World construction, but that wasn't the case. It was timack construction. We talked a bit about them in the Jurassic Mysteries episode and how they were founded in Costa Rica, possibly from some old elements of InGen construction that was still in the area, or people that worked on Jurassic Park. But all the stuff here will be in the run sheet. I'll include them in there if you haven't watched or haven't listened to the latest episode of Jurassic Mysteries. Also in that write-up too, we do have a listing over at jurassic-pedia.com for timack construction, so the link will be in the run sheet as well. There's a bit of a write-up on it there that was created by Masrani Global for the construction of Jurassic World. How much they spent building Jurassic World, and over 8,000 workers worldwide employed by the construction company. So.
Best structural engineers in the world, but then again, so did Hammond.
Well, yeah, okay. We've mentioned it before. Yes, the T-Rex did make short work of the fence, but the power wasn't on, so whether that was shortcomings of the engineers or if it was just they weren't expecting an edgery issue or someone to turn the power off. But then in the novel too, something simple like a turnbuckle holding a palm tree up cuts some sections of fence as well, so they had some issues.
Yeah. They were not ready to open.
No.
I give you the resonating chamber of a velociraptor. Listen to this.
All right, Dave, ready to get into minute 76.
Yeah.
As we enter minute 75 of Jurassic Park 3, Paul was recounting a story of backing a boat into the water and sinking the trailer and then pulling the tow truck in after him. As we open on minute 76, he says the tow truck driver wanted to punch his lights out, and after a quick pause, he says he misses fishing. At the 17-second mark, after a long silence, Grant calls out to Mr. Kirby and waves him on, and the family stand to continue marching through the forest. At the 22-second mark, we transition to later on in the day, as the sun is shining through the jungle canopy. Grant and Eric are walking together, and Eric asks Grant, "That woman you called, who was she? And how do you know that she can help us?" Grant replies, "She was the one person I could always count on. I owe her a lot, although I don't think I ever told her that." At the 38-second mark, Grant stops Eric, says, "Shh, you hear that?" And after a moment, he hears it too, and cries out, "The ocean," and everyone starts to run through the foliage. At the 48-second mark, a male raptor runs in front of them, stopping them dead in their tracks, and they are soon surrounded by another 3 males. The 4 huddle together as the raptors close in, cutting off their escape. And as the minute ends, Grant realises that they want the eggs. As we open up on 76, we continue to get the recount of the bad boating trip from Paul, and he continues, "The tow truck driver wanted to punch my lights out," and there's a bit of a long pause, and then Paul says, "I miss fishing." So, as bad as that whole experience was where he sunk the boat and dragged the tow truck in after him, he still misses fishing.
Fishing is fun. I mean, if you got the patience for it, though, I mean, I could see that. I haven't fished in quite a while, so I do miss it.
Yeah, I quite enjoy it over here, and even if you do have some of those bad issues with getting completely sunburnt or eaten by mosquitoes or or anything like that, a week later, by the time you get to the next weekend, you want to go and do it again. It's gluttons for punishment we are. But Amanda just smiles, and you sort of get more of these looks here where it looks like she's fallen back in love with him all over again, and probably missed him with the whole time they'll split up. And she sort of gives that look too, where she kind of hoping that they might be able to disappear into the palm fronds a little bit with the two of them and make out. But as they sit there, you can sort of see Grant quietly come up behind them in the background and says Mr. Kirby, and gestures for him to keep moving. And that's when we get a bit of a transition to later on in the morning. Sunlight filtering through the jungle canopy, and you can sort of hear all the birds and the bugs chirping and carrying on as well. And I found a little bit of a continuity issue here when I was redoing the minutes. Grant's got a tear in his flannel shirt over his right shoulder that's not there for the river scene. I went back and found it when he jumps or dives under the water to escape the aviary. It's there when he's pushing off in the boat, and even all the way up to the piles of crap and the Ceratosaurus coming on the scene. He's got the tear in his shirt there as well, the bloody tear. But the whole time they're on the boat, he's on the phone. That there's no tear there, so a little bit of a continuity issue with Grant's shirt there.
Oh yeah,
that I just picked up on. But Eric asks Grant, "That lady you called, who is she? How do you know she can help us?" And again, we talked a couple of minutes ago about Ellie being a girl's or a boy's name, or what it's short for. But it might be just a sign of 2001 as well. Grant replies, "She was the one person I could always count on. I owe her a lot, but I don't think I ever told her that." Which could sort of go back into what we're talking about in that early conversation when he's telling her about the Raptors and that, whether she was just someone to listen to. If you're to believe he may have had some PSD and wanted to talk to someone. Because I don't really know how else she could help. Because it wouldn't be talking about the Jurassic Park incident, because they were separated for the entire time, really.
Yeah. I think just in general, not just in Jurassic Park, but somebody you could always count on as, like, even as a digging partner and all that, you know?
And there probably would have been, after the incident, there would have been probably a few trips around to do more of those funding drives, and she would have been there by his side, wanting funding as well. So
yeah, especially because we never know if Hammond cut the check.
Well, that's the thing in novel continuity with InGen bankrupt, they wouldn't have got paid, but in the movie, since InGen stayed around, because they would have been paid for their silence as well, you'd imagine, or to keep the NDAs. So, as we were saying last week, all this backstory would love to hear and love to see, but probably never will. Eric sort of tells him that you probably should be a man and actually talk to her and say, I appreciate everything you've done. Grant goes to respond, but suddenly hears something and stops, and Eric sort of shushes him. And that's, again, another time in this film where Eric can hear something, but none of us can until it's blatantly obvious. And he says excitedly the ocean and starts to run ahead, and everyone runs after him. I couldn't hear the ocean here at all.
No, I couldn't. It kind of reminds me of the novel where the kids see the velociraptors on the deck of the ship, and I can't remember if it was Grant or Malcolm who says that kids just have sensory tunity that we forgot we ever had, you know?
Yeah, I do remember that. Because they end up having to use binoculars they find under the seat or something.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think Gennaro is saying the whole time, or Regis, what are they looking at where they can't see anything, even in the dimming night. So yeah, and Eric's definitely a lot younger than what Grant is. He's been on the island too for a while, so he's sort of maybe, well, not adapted, but his focus is hearing more on nature.
Yeah, I mean, definitely to survive alone, you know?
Especially with the predators. You'd want to be able to get some sort of notice or warning that they're near.
Mm-hmm.
Not just smell. You want sound as well. But that's when we see him start to run into a very dark, grim-looking clearing with a bit of a sandy base there. And last time we were talking about whether it was the beach or the mountain range through the trees that Grant could see. Here, as you're saying, that the sand does protrude into the jungle a fair bit on the ground, and here we can see that sandy bottom as well, or sandy ground. And we start to get that light Jurassic theme begin to play, as if everything's going to be alright. But it's not. We suddenly get that big female raptor just sort of appear from the left, and they stop dead in their tracks, and that's where we sort of end the minute as the free males come in and surround the humans as well. So all 4 raptors there, and everyone's completely surrounded.
Yeah, and you see the return of the broken striped male in this scene as well.
Yep. Yeah, well, we're going to have a couple of minutes here with the raptors. Just how good these animatronics are.
Oh, and not to mention the kind of almost like flawless the seamless transition between the animatronics and the CGI models as well.
Yeah, yep. I've got something to add on that when we get to the next minute. Briefly looking at the script and novel comparisons. In the script, we're going to have a little bit of a spell here because everyone's still sitting on that white beach. There's light rains falling. The script pretty much fast forwards straight to the beach. So over in the novel, we get the same conversations between Eric and Grant as we do in the film. Amanda and Paul seem to be coming closer together, and as they enter an area where the jungle thins out, Alan suddenly notices a shadow fall over the group. He tends as several other shadows joined it, 30-foot shadows. And that's when we get a flock of pteranodons drop down from the sky and are landing on the ground all around Grant and the Kirbys. Eric noticed one of the larger ones that seems to be the same one that carried him from the bridge in the aviary up to the nest. So we don't get in the film, but here we get the return of the pteranodons, which I think is a better return here than what we get in the film with them just flying away from the island. But we sort of get a rehash here between the novel and the script of what they tried to do with The Lost World. It seems one of the writers or production really wanted to have these pteranodons attack a helicopter and chase people like we tried to get in The Lost World.
Yeah.
But the big one sort of lunges at Eric here for a second time to try and get him again, but Amanda leaps in front of him, and Paul leaps on the animal's back and starts wrestling with it as he's trying to keep the sharp beak away from his family. So this would have been something hard to do as well with the animatronic, or maybe they would have just made an upper torso they could have Paul jump onto and swing around like a bucking bull. It would have been pretty comedic too. I reckon it would probably lighten the scene up a little bit more than maybe the fear or tension they would have wanted to go for. But Paul's thrown to the ground, and as the all the other Pteranodons flap their wings, excited about the attack that's about to happen. They're going to try and eat Paul. But that's when we get a fairly familiar sound pierce the air, and we get blurs of yelping, howling, and furious motion racing in from every direction. And that's when we get the Raptors also appear. So they've escaped the Spinosaur, they've escaped the Raptors once, they've escaped the Pteranodons once, but now we're going to have Raptors and Pteranodons in a battle royale to see who's going to get the humans. The Pteranodons shriek in rage as if they're meeting an enemy last encountered 65 million years ago, and we get the male and female Raptor appear and leap onto the back of the lead Pteranodon. 3 other Pteranodons swoop in and grab the male Raptor and try to start lifting it into the sky, but the big Pteranodon fights free and the Raptor just hits the ground. Obviously too heavy for him to lift. And that's when Alan sort of yells this way and leads the group away from the battling animals into a bit of a barren knoll. And Eric can see the blue water ahead, and the edge of Isla Sorna is in sight, but that's when the Raptors catch up to him and circle him. So a fair bit happens in that little scene there that we don't get in the film that would have happened in this minute.
You know, in retrospect, that makes the do you remember the React Attack commercials, the Jurassic Park 3 toy commercials with the Pteranodons fighting the Raptors?
It's something I'm going to have to Google or YouTube. I'll YouTube the.
Oh, alright. You didn't get those?
We probably did, but by the time Jurassic Park 3 came out, I think I was last year in high school and looking at work. So. I was just saying because I think one of them shows a raptor with the Raptors fighting the Pteranodon toys, and suddenly that makes a lot more sense. Actually, I think through some trying to dig in behind the scenes stuff for the film, I'm pretty sure some of that come up on Google Images. Cause I was wondering why we kept on getting these toy shots, these toys come up on the thing, or the box art anyway. Uncle's there. I've seen that photo recently. Maybe someone posted in the